Okay, Erica Lorraine Spencer here. It is Monday, May 24th, 2021. It's currently 4:37 p.m. So, a couple of notes. Everything that I have specifically documented regarding third-party Facebook, let me outline some things. Facebook remains a third party. That is the identity of any non-government actor engaging in the state's pattern of conduct in any way that it is documented. Number one. Number two, what I documented was monitoring. It is monitoring conduct. It's occurring on the venue of the internet. It's an ongoing interruption of my operation of my communication device. While, again, I remain subject to monitoring not only here in relevant position where the state is here, present, acting directly and vicariously, but also the state is also present on the venue of the internet, literally monitoring everything I'm doing online, engaging in the criminal elements while it is monitoring my online activity. That's what the whole purpose of group stalking is. Actually, let me clarify that, because as I have shown through the pattern of conduct as the ND engages in it, the state is actually a sex offending, obsessed level stalker, because the conduct of monitoring is that is what the state is doing, but the state is engaging in that which even exceeds that criminal purpose. So you're talking about that which is criminal monitoring. This is literally the monitoring of an American citizen, the totality of that life. This is an obsessive stalker that is not operating in an individual. It's operating in a government via the people. So this is that which is an unprecedented sex offense, a perpetually occurring sex offense, but it is monitoring, and you're going to base that on the existing federal law, and this is also informing what is federal policy to be created, because it has never been contemplated, like I stated, as I document, never been contemplated that the government is engaged in criminal conduct of monitoring American citizens. It's been maintained, and intentionally so, as a fallacy, and also designed to falsely depict one who was claiming it and perhaps unable to understand what is occurring, describe it, define it, address it, confront it. I mean, in all manner, what the state is engaged in, it is intentionally engaged in the precise manner. Stalking with planes and helicopters, stalking by law enforcement, that is that which is intended to threaten. It's intended to be so incredible that it is unbelievable. Okay, but that is all trumped by documentation, all right, and prolonged documentation, speaking to what is the necessity of federal policy. Now, with regard to what I documented on Sunday, May 23rd, 2021, on my phone, that is monitoring. That is what monitoring is. That remains as my documentation. What I am going to address now is what the targeted individual, and I understand I am documenting the state's ongoing pattern of conduct. That is the criminal activity as I captured it, the people of the state as I captured it, engaging in P.O.C. Now, I did contact the third party directly, Facebook, and as I've also published, this is all already published documentation, and the email and the review that I posted. It does not change the substance, the significance of this documentation, but I want to address that. It's not a but. I want to go further and address the fact that this third party Facebook diplomatically addressed my email, not by addressing my email directly. They just slided me an email about my Facebook, not about my Facebook page, but about the Facebook page in general and whether I'm interested in a business plan. Understand, this is a very diplomatic method of addressing the issue and providing me access to my account again. Regardless, there's a resolution there. And why this is relevant, because first of all, this was the hijacking, as I precisely described it. The state is engaging in that pattern of conduct. The state does so through third parties, and the criminal activity that the state does, where it's in relevant position, like I am at Economy Inn, it is attributed to the third parties at Economy Inn. They are present, they are in relevant position, and they are engaging in the behavioral pattern under the state's light source, acting in concert. It's not the state that's acting unilaterally as it is creating audible activity. The people of the state of California, as I am documenting it, as I have demonstrated not only here, but everywhere that I am going, they are directly engaging in complementing conduct. So this is the absence of coincidence or any ignorance as to what the state is doing. The people are fully engaged in what the state is doing. The state is doing it through the people of the state. It is analogous on the venue of the internet. Not only am I on the venue of the internet, I'm on the platform of what is Facebook. All right. So this is analogous to being at an address, being around me in relevant position. I'm on the venue. I'm being obstructed in my ability to access the internet. This is legally analyzed as a threat. It is addressed to that platform wherever you are at. And I want to be clear, this does not change the fact that it is monitoring, and that documentation remains. That's what the state did, and that's the evidence against the people of the state, all right? Engaging in P.O.C, these minions in relevant position, monitoring diligently to that end as I documented it, seeking to hijack my ability to access my page. Facebook, at 6 o'clock in the morning today, Sunday, May 24th, 2021, restores my access in a very diplomatic way and relatively promptly. Okay, so I'm going to address that. And I also want to address, and this is also the significance of it, because what the state does as far as its criminal monitoring conduct, it's going to be attributed to third parties. And so this is if you do not want your brand, if you don't want your company, if you don't want to be documented engaging in the state's pattern of conduct, then there is action that has to be taken, meaning there's no prosecution, there's no excuse whereby you are in any way avoiding the fact that you were documented. And that is in and of itself the criminal facilitation of the government's ability to threaten your life, because that's what it is when you're monitoring. That's when the government is monitoring through the people of the state, in concert with the people of the state. That's what you're doing. That's what you are a part of, and it is an unprecedented sex offense. There are so many reasons why you do not want to be documented as engaged in that. And on the venue of the internet, I'm on the platform seeking to access my documentation. I have been blocked from my ability to do so. I have addressed before the fact that the ordinary targeted individual is in no way stuck with the burden, the laborious and highly unrealistic and unjust assignment of seeking to determine how the state, because it is the state regardless, how the state is either directly on its own, or not only directly, it's doing it directly and vicariously, because the people of the state are in relevant position monitoring to that criminal end, all right? Seeking actively monitoring with communication devices, seeking to obstruct my ability to access a particular venue online or my information online. But as far as the entity itself, say you're on Facebook, the website, whether Facebook is, now this does not apply to YouTube, by the way. YouTube is directly engaging in conduct. They're the ones that are restricting the videos. This doesn't apply to every type of venue. All right. And so, but I want to be clear with regard to Facebook and that monitoring conduct that I documented, being blocked from the ability to access the app, and then systematically removed from access to everywhere that I was already validly and securely logged in and had been so. I have been restored with my access to my account. But what I want to speak to is the ordinary target individual's responsibility as it is to the prosecuting an entity that's monitoring. An ordinary American citizen is not assigned with the task of being able to deduce or dissect between whether it is actually Facebook itself. That is the people of the state, understand, but you're talking about assigning to the company itself, engaging in P.O.C., all right, acting on its end in concert with the state at using what it has at its disposal in the same way that YouTube is acting with the state by blocking content. That's requiring YouTube engaging in the pattern of conduct. There's no getting out of that. They are literally behind the control panel, placing restrictions that cannot be assigned to the state. Okay, they're doing so on their end. Now, with regard to blocking the access to a website, a given page, that is also that which may be a reasonable question of fact. Again, that is that which can be discerned. First of all, it's no longer a fallacy that the government is monitoring, how the state is monitoring, the ways in which that is occurring on the internet. These are issues that are readily determinable, and the ordinary target individual is not plagued with the unreasonable and laborious burden of deciding or deciphering whether documenting specifically or such that you don't have adequate documentation. You're documenting what was criminal activity on the venue of the internet. You're describing where it was occurring, and you can identify that third party being on Facebook. Okay. Now, Facebook's handling of immediately restoring access is helpful on Facebook's position. I want to make sure I mention that as well. But with regard to the documentation itself, It doesn't remove the significance of the documentation, and no ordinary target individual, and in creating the documentation and creating the policy, and as I'm experiencing it, informing how you are going to create a policy that's going to uniformly apply. And you're talking about to the ordinary person, all right, that's not has not been to law school, is not even familiar with what monitoring is. They've been confronted with it in their life, and they may be aware of a legal remedy that they now have where the government is monitoring you. And so how do they enforce their rights? Okay, so they're documenting, and talk about the ordinary person, documenting what they're experiencing on the internet. They're being blocked from the ability to access, the ability to document the government that's monitoring, an ongoing threat that they're faced with while they're trying to document it. And so what I want to speak to is the fact that is a question of fact, in no way hindering that documentation or the significance of that documentation or the probative value of that documentation, because the parties engaging in that conduct is readily determinable at that venue of the federal court. Okay. And so it is very likely that the targeted individual is not able to, and will very much assign it to what they are on, the venue that they're on. I was on Facebook and then blocked out of all of my logins, okay, which is P.O.C. And I directly named Facebook, which is the venue that I was on, and understand where you are at that is implicating that third party. The pattern of conduct is occurring not only in relevant position, it is occurring on the venue of the internet, okay, period. This is not changing. What I want to speak to is the significance of it. I have been restored with my access to my Facebook page, which I never should have been denied. And understand where you are faced with a threat that the government is continuously and perpetually waging. That is a threat to your very life. Okay, while you're not able to document, this is an ongoing risk. This is an ongoing emergency that you're faced with, while the government, desperate in its endeavor to continue and also conceal the fact that it's monitoring you, is engaging in the ongoing pattern of conduct and then perpetuating that threat by blocking your ability to access what is the internet in order to publish, which is necessary for that revealing of documentation to that end of enforcing your rights. And so I want to address the fact that I want to, number one, address the fact that Facebook diplomatically emailed me back. And again, who is actually, you're talking about the people of the state, who is acting behind the company name of Facebook, who is engaging in the criminal act of literally blocking my access to my pages, to the app on my phone, all right? Who is engaging in the act of restoring my ability to access my account? Understand, it could very well be the same entity, all right? Say, for example, Facebook is meaning Facebook personnel, literally the company itself, wherever their office is, whatever they do on the venue of the internet, wherever they do what they do, they're actually not engaged in it. Say it is actually the state that is here in relevant position on the venue of the internet using all of its criminal devices, and just it was monitoring just here, not, and doing so on the venue of the Facebook page, but Facebook itself, the actors, the employees, that company not directly engaged in it. Understand, this being a possibility, and the entity also being the same one sending me an email, and in the same way monitoring, restoring my access that it also took unilaterally, where Facebook wasn't even engaged in that conduct. Understand? So this is what I'm saying. It's a question of fact, and it does not in any way remove the fact that it was the pattern of conduct, but I'm also going to address the fact that I was restored with my access to my account. And this is also informative because the targeted individual is not going to be assigned with that duty, which is very unrealistic, to decipher between, well, it was Facebook because I was on the Facebook page, but the tactic that was engaged in was a pop-up. And so that doesn't necessarily require Facebook, the company itself, to engage in any conduct on the venue of the internet where they're actively trying to obstruct my ability to access their platform. That could just be the state itself. That's very easy for the group stalkers that are around to engage in tampering on the communication device, creating pop-ups. I've documented that. That does not necessarily require Facebook, the entity, or any venue that you're on at all, okay? But this is what I am speaking to. That's the significance of that. And that's what I wanted to document. And I also documented, so that's P.O.C., that's documented. I also want to document the fact that I've been restored access to my account, and it does not remove the question of fact as to whether Facebook itself was engaged in that pattern of conduct. That is readily determinable at prosecution. But it is also speaking to what is the state's criminal conduct. Where you're in relevant position, it's going to be assigned to you. That's how the state monitors. That's how the state engages in the pattern of conduct for federal group stalking and monitoring. It does it under the guise of acting in concert with the people of the state and using any company name to do so. I'm on the venue of the internet. This is relevant to monitoring. I'm on the platform of Facebook. This is relevant to monitoring, and it does implicate that venue. And it is a question of fact as to whether that particular venue is actually acting with the state, engaging in the documented conduct. This is why you just document it. Okay, the target individual is not assigned with that task to decipher that. All right. You don't have to be some computer genius in order to document the government that's monitoring you. All right. This is another fallacy that you are cutting off immediately. There is not going to be any unreasonable burden placed on the target individual that is subject to an ongoing threat by the government that's monitoring you in concert with the people of the state. That is absolutely not going to be the case whatsoever. And so this is informative in that regard. And so I want to make sure I document that. With the other thing that I documented, it's also P.O.C. The third parties on the venue of the internet, also these podcasting, these third parties, understand this is still monitoring conduct, my RSS feed as I create my podcast, and it's not being updated on the third party platforms, the different platforms where my podcast is hosted. You're talking about the Beaker application. You're talking about Radio Public. You're talking about what is Pocket Cast. You're talking about Apple Podcasts. I'm documenting what is the perfect ability to update the RSS feed. That's a matter of internet interruption. Okay, I am constantly being monitored. Everything on my phone. This is internet control. All right, and so as I create the podcast, as I update an episode, it's just a matter of not updating my RSS feed and blocking the ability for my updated episode as I continue to add documentation to a particular episode or create it, and it's not being filtered into my my different applications where my podcast is also accessible, which is criminal obstruction of justice. And what I documented is that very conduct. And you also have what I captured also is the removal of information that I have available on my podcast. And that was particularly Pocket Cast on the app. And I particularly saw that last night pursuant to what I have available on my podcast. My account setup, it shows my website as the patternofconduct.wordpress.com. That's posted there as being displayed, and understand it is customary that what you reveal is that which is going to be posted as the different applications or platforms, if you will, reveal your podcast available to listen or to subscribe to or whatever, and the removal of that. Okay, so I want to be clear. It has since been removed. That is not a minor thing in engaging in any method of obstruction of justice. Now, is this the state? This is again that same question of fact, whether it is Pocket Cast itself using its ability, its company, and engaging in the pattern of conduct with the state, or is this just the state that is here, acting by the people of the state in relevant position, monitoring with their communication devices, removing information, tampering with the phone? Or again, these are questions of fact, in no way stopping what is the target individual's ongoing responsibility, which is to do nothing other than document it. And that is a threat while the government is monitoring, is seeking to obstruct the ability for that information that you are publishing, which is the evidence of the criminal activity that the government is currently engaged in. All right. That's the significance of it. And it doesn't change. I'm talking about the responsibility, the reasonable responsibility of the targeted individual who is faced with an ongoing threat to their life by the government. OK, no, you do not have to decipher whether it's actually Pocket Cast that's removing that information such that it cannot be seen that your website is posting the evidence online, or whether it is just the state in relevant position that is here monitoring on the venue of the internet as well. And the company itself, Podcast, is actually not engaged in that whatsoever. All right. They're not on their end removing your information or anything like that. OK, that's what I'm talking about with regard to Facebook. This is what I'm talking about. And I did document that. That remains to be the evidence of the criminal activity. That is criminal obstruction of justice. And it is no small thing. The RSS feed not being updated. And understand this is the ongoing monitoring to keep my documentation on my podcast about Facebook's engagement in the P.O.C. Again, I'm saying Facebook because it's occurring on that platform. All right, so this is implicating it. Where the government is engaged in that criminal conduct, this is why you don't want any parts of it, because you are implicated. You are in relevant position using your company brand. You're in relevant position at your home. You're in relevant position where the state is group stalking in any manner directly. You're in relevant position. That is how the system works. And so it is a matter of establishing that you, in fact, have nothing to do with that. That doesn't apply in relevant position. There's no getting out of it. In relevant position, you are engaged in facilitation, period. All right. On the venue of the internet, a question of fact as to, and this is understanding what is the crime of monitoring and how the government is actually doing that, the details behind that, okay, which is a question of fact that can be determined. But it is implicating definitely that venue, that platform. But I'm also going to state that that same platform also restored my access to my account as I brought it to their attention. All right, whether in fact, but again, this is the entity that is monitoring, very capable of sending me an email after the state itself unilaterally having nothing to do with Facebook. All right. And I'm just putting that out there because this could be the issue, that could be the case. And that is not a mystery. That is also readily determinable. So these are questions of fact. This is not hindering documentation. It does not change the target individual's responsibility. All right. So to document, it does not change the target individual's responsibility to document. It is currently Monday, May 24th, 2021. It's 4:58 p.m. And that's what I wanted to address. And it is informative as to the documentation, specifically where the government is monitoring on the venue of the internet. So the government is engaging in more than, I've already shown that by the very pattern of conduct, but you're talking about existing federal legislation as you're prosecuting the public entity. And this is at also the cross juncture of the intersection of what is also monitoring and relevant position. The state is doing both. Okay. The state is engaged in like I'm saying, a litany of federal charges when you're engaging in this, and the people of the state of California right in tow with it. Okay. And so that's the significance of that, where you're talking about a target individual that's documenting what is a government. It's monitoring. Nothing that you are experiencing on the internet is any malfunction where the government is monitoring. And now this is a reality. And so it does maintain it does imply the responsibility of third parties, especially on the venue of the internet. But understand, this is not going to be anything that you can exploit. What the entity is engaged in, and the entity includes the people of the state, what the entity is engaged in is a question of fact, not to be maintained as any mystery in the federal court. All right. If you have anything to do with what was monitoring, blocking the ability to access the platform, and then you're later restoring it and maintaining ongoing awareness of everything that I'm documenting the entire time. All right, whether you had nothing to do with that, actually, it was the state that's monitoring on the venue of the internet, doing it under the guise of what is Facebook, all right, creating prompts as though it is Facebook and blocking my ability to access. And Facebook, in fact, had nothing to do with that, meaning Facebook itself, the company itself, did not create that prompt, is not active, was not engaged in blocking my access, and also had nothing to do with restoring my access as well. Understand that that's a very plausible fact pattern as well. Okay, this is what monitoring is, and these are all of the ways in which I have been exposed to what the state is engaged in when it's monitoring on the venue of the internet. Okay, the state is wearing a mask where it's monitoring a relevant position. The mask is provided by the people of the state. The state is wearing a mask when it is monitoring on the venue of the internet as well. It is doing so on what are venues online attributed to that venue wherever it is at, and that's a question of fact as to the level of participation, if any at all, that each third party on that venue is engaging in. Now, YouTube cannot get out of that. They're blocking the videos, placing restrictions on the videos, and it would have to be established that there's actually, but no, I've literally experienced it where the restrictions are real. It's actually placed on it. They're emailing me about it in real time. That is YouTube engaging in the P.O.C, and there's no getting out of that. So that is where it is not reasonably questioned the participation in the state's pattern of conduct on the venue of the internet. All right. So anyway, it is 5:01 p.m. and that is P.O.C. and I will be maintaining that documentation while maintaining while also documenting. Again, I'm very thorough, and I don't have any reason to exaggerate, and I don't have any reason to remove what the third parties engage in. And so restoring my access, it has been restored. Is this the same entity that removed my access in the first place? Or is this Facebook, the company that had nothing to do with it in the first place while I was removed from it, and then they restored it? All right. That's the question of fact. All right. With regard to the target individual, all you have to do is document it. The criminal activity that the entity is engaged in will suffer those repercussions, and it will be revealed at that proper forum. That is P.O.C. Okay, group stalkers using audible activity, jingling keys, and doing so increasingly while the state is scanning this room, this restaurant, with impossible light activity. That's how the people of the state monitor. Again, I want to document what I captured on video was the hallmark, the state's light source directly aiming inside of the window. The state's directed light on the surfaces inside while the people of the state monitor. That is speaking to that's the direct evidence against the people of the state. This is Ono Hawaiian Barbecue, located at 358 South Mountain Avenue in Upland, California, zip code 91786. The state molesting with light. Understand the state is a sex offender. The people of the state of California are a sex offender with its criminal instrument of monitoring. All right, molesting with light and following. That's also threatening while you are stalking with this light source, which is in no way the sun whatsoever. This is the ongoing molestation of the person while you are monitoring, while the people of the state maintain activity. All right, it is 6:59 p.m. and you hear that everything you're hearing in the environment is intentional. The state is scanning the room with its impossible light, like I showed in video. The state is aiming its directed light onto the surfaces inside. The state's fake sun is out the side of the window that is along what is Mountain Avenue, okay? But you have what is directed light scanning inside of the room. Jingling of the keys is intentional conduct. That is the people of the state engaged in harassment, engaged in threatening, and engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's P.O.C. It is 7 p.m. on the dot. All right, license plate 8TKF206, 6CJJ058, 7NBS826, VNESS with the symbol of a star and the letter G. I guess it's supposed to be Vanessa G, VNESS star G. 8CPK610, 6H61343, 6KAW338, 4HCW495, 24003F3. 7G68469, 7BMT549, 6602227, I'm sorry, 66022Z2, 6JGJ353, 5LZN684, 8SAY830. Group stalking sitting in her vehicle, sitting in the passenger seat. Again, there is no innocent conduct as the state is scanning that restaurant with impossible light, and the state's fake sun has moved from the side of the window at Ono Hawaiian over my head as I'm walking in the parking lot, and these group stalkers are sitting in the parking lot. 6PEB791. These are just the group stalkers that are in relevant position. What you're listening to is the ongoing creation of audible activity. That's the state amplifying train activity. Again, the state is doing nothing other than playing a tape of the sound of a train while I'm in the state's fake sunlight, the directed light. This is speaking to what the people of the state of California are engaged in. And also what you heard, that's amplification. That's exactly what the state is doing inside of the room while 5HRB721 crosses path in front of me, okay? I want to be clear, it is currently 7:02 p.m. What you are listening to, what you heard, let me also document third-party group stalker FedEx coming into Ono Hawaiian Barbecue, communication device in tow, which you'll see in the image, monitoring while under the state's fake sun and the state's directed light. 5LHK228, 8GSE402. State flying over the parking lot in an airplane while 5BWW377 crosses path. That was the amplification of the sound of the train. 8DCX433 crosses path, okay? License plate, paper plate, 8D48V35, 8LTN610, 5CNE353, 8N68194, BEOIBE, 8MML843, AV00E37. Yeah, that's a paper plate. All right, license plate 34959M1, SAYENZO, 6XSW090, 8RFG618, 8VDJ518, 8VDR612, 8UVK900, coming right next to me, 88717B3. Yeah, that's 88717B3. 7DZU093. Say Enzo is crossing path. Impossible light activity as it's driving underneath what is the state's directed light. 8VDJ518, in case I didn't read that one. Oh yeah, I read that license plate. 8LMF641. Group stalking sitting in the parking lot. 8UJX554. 83112Z2. Group stalking, that's the group stalker sitting in the car, moving as I walk and approach them. That's audible activity in the state's fake sun. 8ROK482. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I get that. 8ROK482. Light activity, audible activity, group stalking, maintaining relevant position in their car in the parking lot. State's fake sun literally moving back and forth as I'm moving in the parking lot. All right, this is in no way compatible. Let me tell you what freeway I'm looking at. What is the 10 freeway as I'm standing in the parking lot of Crunch Fitness at 380. That's the address number, and I read you the address of what is Ono Hawaiian Barbecue. All right, this is in no way whatsoever comparable to being directly as I captured it every other place, but let alone, let's go to the most recent where it's over me at the freeway exit of the 60 freeway at 2301 South Euclid Avenue outside of the Mobile. That's P.O.C. And that's how you know what these psychopaths are doing. You're witnessing demonic activity, Satan in operation. 8THH253, and they're sex offenders. The state is molesting my entire person, touching me where no other stalker would be allowed to touch me because they're monitoring as well. 97515D1. If that is not an American citizen, he's going to be deported. He's engaging in the state's criminal system of monitoring. Z71GFAM. He reverses creating light activity. Also creating light activity moving in the state's directed light. 8UGX344, 243KEG, 6WHA758, 8TWJ944. I want to document this Crunch Fitness engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. This is located at 380. It may not be open now, but I want to be clear. It may or may not be open now. Oh, they are open. But regardless of that, they are documented as engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. I have used that gym. I was subject to monitoring unbeknownst to me. The people of the state monitoring inside of that venue. Again, this is Crunch Fitness with the address 380. And as a group stalker enters into the venue, impossible light activity swiping across the sidewalk. 8ROY042. These are minions. 8UJX554 crossing path again. Gotcha, bruh. You've got group stalkers with a minor child in their car, group stalking, okay? You can have whatever you want in tow while you're monitoring. 8EAF519. So they're just sitting in the parking lot, just watching me document them. You're going to hell and you're going to be prosecuted. And this is, let's see, 8B26035. Oh, okay, here we go. Is the food done? This is documentation of the people of the state at while I'm at a third-party facilitating venue, Ono Hawaiian Barbecue, the address I read, and you're looking at what is the hallmarks inside of that building. And so I'm stepping out to document them being molested. Let me get these group stalkers that were monitoring inside of the restaurant. License plate 6XSW090, in case I didn't read that one already. I believe I did. P.O.C. It's 7:07 p.m. 8H, that's audible activity. 8H79468, it's P.O.C. Were you waiting for a long time?
Yeah, because you
I didn't hear you say nothing.
People, I'm yelling in the parking lot.
Nobody following nobody. I'm walking in the parking lot.
Okay, whatever.
That's so ironic for you to say that I'm following people. That's funny. Coming out of your mouth.
Erica, they're not bothering you.
I'm not bothering anyone else either.
Okay.
This is audible
You're
activity in the state's light
cars.
source, and this is harassment by the people of the state of California while they're monitoring. And isn't that ironic coming out of the mouth of a group stalker? It's P.O.C. It's 7:07 p.m.
The meat is
3XUW322, 8TAR825, 6EBV956, 8NMS647, 6FGK794, This is third-party facilitating venue Walmart, located at 1333 North Mountain Avenue. And again, the state's light source, which is the fake sun. I captured a picture of it as we're entering into the parking lot, and it's squarely in front of me. This is the light source migrating now south to maintain its central position in line and direct alignment with me as I'm traveling down Mountain Avenue. I also captured what is AMR ambulance. That's the state group stalking via relevant positioning across the street. And I'm capturing what is the state's fake sun in the windshield as I'm leaving from that venue where I was documenting third parties in relevant position, creating light activity, patrolling as one group together, all together active maintenance of presence under the state's light source, which is vacillating from the north side to the south side of the restaurant. And then as I'm at that intersection, you see what is the light source in no way comparable to being aiming directly through that window of Ono Hawaiian barbecue as I captured in the video. I'm at the street light at the intersection, and this is the light source migrating south as I am traveling what is south down Mountain Avenue. And again, over 1333 North Mountain Avenue Walmart, where I'm capturing it now, where it is posted, it is remaining stationary on the, this would be the, I want to say the north side of of the Walmart. This is where the state was flying over me in helicopter at the lawn and garden area. And the state's fake sun, as I captured it, was setting on the opposite side of the building at the entrance as I exited the Walmart in the evening. This is August 2020, August 14th, 2020, if you recall. And the state's fake sun moving from the lawn and garden back to the entrance at the front nearest 5th Street, then back and forth as I documented it, and it remained for the duration of the day. The state's light source right now at 7:15 p.m. Remaining stationary such that light is being aimed on to me while I'm sitting in the car. This is light on the surfaces around as third-party group stalkers, all of them listening at the same time, patrolling in their vehicles in the parking lot, which would also be seen on the surveillance cameras. What you're looking at is federal group stalking and monitoring. Using their vehicles as light, using their vehicles for purposes of patrolling, while the state's light source is here at 133 North Mountain Avenue. That is Walmart, a facilitating venue, heavily documented already, and I am being monitored right now. And also understand the cumulative value of the documentation. Being over here at 1333 North Mountain Avenue is mutually exclusive to being directly over what is the parking lot of Economy Inn while I'm there, being over the grocery outlet as I move north next door to that grocery store, and the state is engaging in setting a sun inside of that venue so low that the light is aiming inside of the back of the store and then the entrance of the store as I move, okay? And then you have what is the state's maintenance of presence, which was well beyond what is the 76 gas station, for example, at 10 o'clock in the morning north on the north end of the same block, Philadelphia, and then at the opposite block, the 60 exit freeway, remaining at the same position, is literally on the opposite side of a parking lot. This is what I captured on May 6, 2021. That is at the exit of the 60 freeway. I am nearest the 10 freeway. This is well north of that. This is mutually exclusive conduct. Being up here over the Walmart is impossible to coexist as I captured it just on that date. But again, this is how you are looking at everything, which is the entire impossibility of that. The documentation is complete to that end. This is speaking to what the people of the state of California are engaged in, the malicious conduct that it is engaging in, and this is speaking to what is the ongoing prosecution of that entity that's acting vicariously through the people. And that is what has been documented 7:17 p.m. Again, that was capturing AMR ambulance. Its license plate 13657 Charlie 2. Group stalking by maintenance of presence at the gas station in relevant position to me while I am both being monitored, walking around documenting third parties in that parking lot while the state's light source is vacillating onto both sides of that building to maintain light onto me. Impossible light all around while the minions are patrolling in their cars, and they start huddling around. So the buildup of traffic occurs as I start walking and reading license plates. Then they all come sitting in the parking lot. They're going to park, so you're reversing. Then they're going forward. This is patrolling using the car. You have an employee right now, an old white man. He's going to be seen coming toward the lawn and garden. He's creating light activity as he walks past me, sitting in the vehicle under the state's fake sun, which is to his left as he's walking past the vehicle. He's monitoring, okay? And that's all that they're doing, but I'm just giving you a real-time recitation of what the criminal conduct looks like as I have continuously demonstrated. It's 7:18 p.m., and that is facilitation by the venue of Walmart. That's an employee engaging in the P.O.C., all right? They do the same thing with shopping carts. They're doing the same thing inside of the stores. And this is P710067, black Toyota Camry. In the parking lot, driving around, that's patrolling, going onto the street to turn around. All they're doing is patrolling as a group. It is serving the state's criminal system as I am at this venue. That is P.O.C.